Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and various people on the gender spectrum. My name is Alexander Gordon Jahans. Now, I am an aspiring feminist, but I am also someone who, let's put this politely, likes to write fiction with power imbalanced relationships. I write pulpy, schlocky stuff that is sort of sci-fi with fantastical elements mixed in and excused with something Clark's Third Law, something magic science. And I do feel a bit of angst about this, and I have commented on this before. I write kind of like I do my videos, in the sense that obviously writing takes more time, more effort, and I do it in one go, right? There are typos. I don't go back and re-edit things kind of generally ever. I just write and I go until I reach the end and then stop. Obviously, because writing takes so much longer, there are actually breaks to, go have a piss and get some more drink and stuff. But what you are looking at with the writing is something that is produced in the same manner as my videos, in the sense that there is no editing. There is no planning. There is no script. There is nothing. There is no pre-planning. There is just going, and especially this one, because this one was written after a very bad day. You can actually, I think it's the video MRIs are not fun or something. Just search MRIs in the sort of search box on my channel page, and you'll be able to find it. And that explains kind of just the shit I went through that day. And then I sat down and I wrote this. So this. Okay, I write weird stuff, and then here's the thing, right? I'm also someone who is a champion of audiobooks. Well, champions are probably overstating it. That makes me sound like, the Seventh Doctor. Yes, Times champion, audiobooks champion. No. But I do love audiobooks, and I do want more people to read audiobooks. So yes, I do audiobook adaptations of my stuff. I say adaptations. I try to read every word there, but obviously, because sometimes this is the first time I'm going back over and rereading something, I'll go, oh, that doesn't make sense, so there's slight changes in terms of words used or whatever. And obviously, right, there is a certain element to it of, there is the visual and vocal element, but considering, some of these things, they're I did the audiobook of The Contravoxi Survivor, and that's 45,000 words. That took 5 hours, 5 different parts, and it's you can watch. You can watch it's starts off saying, yes, this is enunciating, and then by the end it's just so, I'm not promising, I'm not an actor. Okay, the reason that I don't script anything is because I'm not an actor. Okay, I'm not an actor. I know. So kind of, this isn't gonna be a high quality thing. This is just, if you need an audiobook version, and having the computer read it aloud, and having the parts of words shunted together, and considering also, like, you know, there's a lot of my own terminology in here, so, you know, maybe, you know, having computers try to read that aloud wouldn't work anyway. So this is just, if you have no other option, this is an audiobook version. This is fiction. This is very not safe for work. In fact, I would dare say, kind of, I mean, I'm generally on this, on when it comes to my videos and stuff, like, there are so many better things that you can be doing. There are so many, you don't need to be here. My videos aren't worth it. You know, I'm not that interesting. The views I elicit are not that unique. Go other places. There are other people who express the opinions that I hold better than I do. And funnier than I do, you know. But at the same time, I suppose if you're here, you're here because one reason or another, you want to see what I have to say. You are interested in my perspective. So, anyway, without furthermore preamble, we'll get into this. One thing I will say is, this is read from this is written from a first-person perspective, and kind of deliberately with a nebulous vagueness to it that could theoretically apply to any man, right? Although obviously, right, I put a lot of myself into it, and if I'm gonna be reading this to you, then you're gonna naturally, to a certain extent, go, oh, this is written from a first-person perspective. There are things that match up. It's him, isn't it? So I just, it's meant to be more vague than that. But, you know, well, what am I gonna do? You know, am I gonna deliver the audiobook just like this? No. Fuck it. Also, something I will say is, okay, this is where the webcam is. This is where the laptop is. And this is what I'm reading off. So, yeah, the eye line isn't... I'm not going to be looking at the webcam. Okay, so just be aware. I'll try when I can to kind of do stuff, but those tend to go by the wayside as things go on. There may be breaks and edits in this. This can get long, and so anyway, without further ado, if you haven't jumped ship by now, I present The Valkyrie, a distraction fic, not safe for work. The Valkyrie, a distraction fic, by Gordon Jahans. The myth of the Valkyrie is of the Norse woman who flies down and carries fallen warriors to Valhalla. I don't know which came first, the myth or the institution, and I'm not sure anybody knows. I'm not even sure the multiverse works like that. Maybe the chicken and the egg both came first, but in different universes. I'm not a physicist, and I'm not even sure a physicist would understand this. One thing I do know, though, is Valkyries are real, and they saved my life. They gave me hope again. There is a war going on. There is a war going on. A great big one that at any moment, if lost, could spell the end of everything. All of reality gone in a moment. The multiverse carries on, blissfully ignorant, and we all hiss and spit at Apple for their crummy updates, or send angry tweets to the creators of our favourite things when we dislike something about what they do. As if any of this stupid, petty bullshit matters. Trillions of brave people die every single millisecond to keep us safe. They aren't all saints, don't misunderstand me. The Logicios are jerks, and that is one hell of a massive understatement. They were founded by a Tharshnuk. Think James Bond crossed with Doctor Who and a great old one from the works of H.P. Lovecraft. The Logicios are upper-class British gentlemen, or ladies, who steal technology from other universes and upgrade it with what they know. They are scavengers, thieves and scoundrels, who receive hundreds of years' worth of training, have technology that can rewrite reality, and they run their empire on the slavery of women for ideological reasons that I cannot be fagged to even try and understand, let alone explain. They've been fighting the war the longest, and still by far they outnumber the other parties, so they're tolerated. Though that leads to conspiracy theories that maybe they're prolonging the war to avoid making the changes that would prevent all other parties from trying to neutralize the threat they pose. There is actually a terrorist sect called the Self-Liberation Front that is trying to undermine the Logicios and secure freedom and better conditions for the women who are enslaved by them, but it's sort of like ISIS taking on America. A lot of talk and not a lot of progress, just scare tactics to try and make the Logicios stop being such jerks. The United Civilizations of the multiverse are probably best represent morality and decency, but they're only doing so well because their champion, Lucy Dance, the so-called paragon of virtue, ruthlessly mass-produces copies of herself to lead armies and gifts them to ambassadors to secure trade deals. Oh, and they are expanding their forces fast enough to fight the war because they're letting a monster called the Bam Kirsch, think the Master Missy meets the Joker and Lord Vetinari, make a bid for future Empress by securing new universes into the United Civilizations, something that is only possible because said monster legally sells copies of people as toys. Then there are the Architects of Chaos, a loose, large collective of empowered individuals who largely patrol the multiverse as journeying heroes, but also do their bit to fight the war when they can. Think the Avengers or the Justice League. They don't really have a collective personality, power set, or motive. They just want to help and are in a position to do so. Finally, there are the Elder Gods, like the Tharshnooks and the Bamkirshes, entities who were once insane and unknowably powerful, but over years of dabbling in the universes of mortals became mortal enough to be tried and killed, so they now habitually reincarnate in host bodies and, after a certain stint of evil post-identity emergence, find themselves drawn to protecting the multiverse and thus doing their bit to help in the war effort. Things are bleak. Things are fucked up. Our heroes are not the chiseled, chivalric messiahs of popular fiction. In many ways, a lot of them are more monstrous than the very things they are defending us against. The septagonoids, as they are known, are beings of pure sentient logic inside metal war machines, and they are just extremely pedantic. According to them, the multiverse shouldn't exist because the nothingness it sits within is founded in faulty logic, and it seems they're technically right. It's just that it doesn't matter if all reality is built on a flawed premise when so many lives are at stake. But they're beings of logic. They can't not want to fix faulty logic. Sort of tragic, really. The great enemy are right, but too mentally ill to see the arguments against it. Nevertheless, these people are fighting and dying on a scale I can't even imagine for the good of all of us, whether we know it or not. and the Valkyries save the fallen when they can and restore them to health. Apparently, this act of charity is a pragmatic one. You can't let experienced soldiers go to waste, they say. So the Valkyries save them, and they heal them, give them a home, give them a ship, give them a job, and give them a companion. However, the survivors need to get by. And recover from the psychological trauma. The Valkyries will see that they have everything they need to begin healing. It is at this point I should make clear that I am not a soldier. I've never been up against Decepticons, thank God. Not yet, at least. I am not a Logicio or an Architect of Chaos or a soldier in the United Civilization of the Multiverse Space Service, nor am I an Elder God or the host to an Elder God. I'm not anyone important. My story isn't unique. It's not especially exciting. Things were bad in my life. Real bad. I'm not going to go into it because it honestly doesn't matter now. But suffice to say, I had nothing and no one. I was a broken man. My health was shitty, and my country was shitty, and the world was shitty, and I felt so very shitty. That twinge of boredom you feel at the boringness of repeating the word shitty, I felt that all the time. Men commit suicide all the time, and feminists blame us for it. I mean, yes, suicide is literally taking your own life, unless you're in America and very right-wing. Then I hear suicide by cop is popular. But still, I get that suicide is literally our fault. But they turn it into another fucking reason to hate the patriarchy. You can practically hear them saying, if only you didn't oppress women so much, you wouldn't be killing yourselves. I am in touch with my emotions. I am willing and able to express myself if I feel like crap, but it just gets so fucking boring. Like, yes, my life is shitty, and I want to die. I get it. Can we please move the fuck on? Except I don't move on, because when your life is crap, no amount of positive thinking will change the fact that you feel shitty a lot. I fought against my shittiness for so long. I fought against my self-loathing and depression and focused on fun. The trouble is that time takes its toll. Sooner or later you get tired and you get bored and nothing is fun anymore and you just want out. Apparently there are pills for that and help for that, but oh yay, the Conservative Party is cutting funding to the NHS and mental health services, and as a man, there are 2 entire cultures built on making you feel like shit just for existing. On the left, we have feminism and the SJW movement that just expects men to exclude themselves from any attacks targeted at all men if they don't fit into these categories. And on the right, we have the men's rights activists and a general bigoted male crowd specifically attacking you personally if you don't behave enough like them. Welcome to the age of cuck, as a swear word to describe any male who doesn't fit the scum's exact definition of manliness and masculinity. So one day, I gave up. I just gave up. I had had enough. No more. It was time to die. So I walked into town and I found a building I'd scoped out earlier. If you've been depressed or suicidal for a while, you'll find yourself doing this, almost subconsciously. A lot of people get these kinds of thoughts. They're the crazy moments your brain is warning you to be careful of danger, but it feels like a sudden urge to do something ridiculously stupid and dangerous. Difference is that where a sane person might see a low wall on the tall car park and think, I could just walk over that to my death, then scold themselves and move on. A depressed person will stroke their chin and go, yeah, I'll have to remember that. So I was standing on the top floor of this car park, and I was about to do it. Of course, there's a moment of hesitation and trepidation, the animal instincts warning, wanting to recoil from danger. I decided to count to 10. I knew I should. I knew all the reasons I should live, so I counted and paced. Then I got to 10 and stared at the wall, and suddenly that Animal revulsion to danger had become excitement. Freedom. Freedom from this wretched, broken body. Freedom from this life. Yes, 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 dear God, yes. I walked calmly to the edge and placed one hand on the wall. I was about to swing my left foot onto the ledge when I froze. I literally could not move a muscle. My brain was working, my nerves were responding, my heart was pumping, and I was still breathing, but I couldn't even turn my head. 10 seconds passed, and then I heard her voice. You're dead. You died. You threw yourself off that ledge and your life ended. Splat! I am here to offer you a second chance. How? I wondered. I am a Valkyrie, she said. You may call me Emma. I can take you away from here. I can give you a new life, a new purpose, a new home. I can fix up your body and make you loved. Is this heaven? I wondered. No, she said. This is a new beginning. This is mercy. This is the way of the Valkyrie. We can see into your soul and ensure that everything is to your liking. You are not alone anymore. You do not have to carry the burden of survival by yourself. Speak now, and if you consent, I will take you to your new destiny. My body went limp, and I had to stop myself from falling. Yes, I cried. Yes, yes, I consent to whatever it is you wish of me. I had been given another chance. I didn't care if I had actually finally snapped. If the voice was just a delusion, it was better than my life and better than death. It was a reason to stay alive. Then I saw her. The media is very shitty at giving women good roles, so this was a surprise. She, looking older than me by quite some way, and was probably even older, but she was utterly beautiful. There was an otherworldly glow about her, as if her very soul was a beacon of hope. As I approached her, the light began to suffuse me. She placed her left hand on my right shoulder and looked into my eyes. She said, "You are saved," and I felt it. All the negativity, the self-loathing, despair, annoyance, irritation, and bitterness was purged from me, and I was suffused with warmth, love, happiness, and peace. The technical explanation I learned later was that Valkyrie are trained in the arts of soul magic. Actually, a kind of complex science to do with hacking into how the logic of the multiverse catalogues different thinking entities. As such, what Emma was doing was temporarily overwriting the parts of my soul that made me feel suicidal with the positivity that made her Valkyrie material. She stroked the back of my head with her right hand and smiled. "You will obey me, won't you? There will be no issues if you choose not to, but things will be simpler if you choose to obey." I nodded. I would have followed this woman into hell for the peace she had brought me. "Good," she said warmly. Then she kissed me on the forehead and commanded, "Sleep." My eyes closed immediately and I fell into a warm darkness. When I woke, I was naked under white sheets in a warm room that made me feel safe and comfortable. It was as though they had pulled all my happy memories from my head and built a room from pockets of nostalgia and serenity to make me feel all at ease. I sat up and looked down at myself. Abs and a six-pack. That was new. In fact, everything seemed to be. I scanned the room and found a place where my brain said a mirror should be, if this were built to make me feel at ease, and there it was. I examined myself in the mirror and was blown away. I was still me. I still looked and felt and sounded like me, but I was fit and cut like a steak. There were some other improvements that I was very pleased about, if slightly disconcerted about what the changes implied. I found where my clothes were kept, and there were two options: my old clothes resized to fit my new body, or a suit that had been tailored to perfection. I put it on and felt fantastic. It was like a second skin. I approached the door and opened it. Outside was like a hospital waiting room, bile green and depressing. Emma was there waiting for me, reading World War Z by Max Brooks. I coughed. She grinned when she saw me and put a bookmark in the page she was on, then stowed the book in her bag. Yes, they really have worked a treat on you. Come on, I'll show you to your new owner. I stared at her. Owner? Emma giggled and put an arm round my shoulders as she started leading me down a corridor. Oh, you'll love her. She's a veteran of darkness like you, and she will know just how to save you from yourself. Just trust her, okay? I glared at her now and said more harshly, What do you mean she'll be my owner? Emma sighed and squeezed me, then explained, I said I would give you a new life, and you have one. But I didn't do this for you. I did this for her. Her name is Jessica, and she's a Jafaxi Kulamansi. She fought for the united civilizations of the multiverse against the Septagnoids. She was the lone survivor of an attack run. She needs a companion. She needs something to protect and care for. A reason not to give up like you did. I was walking with Emma, but this all sounded like gibberish. You realize I understand none of that, right? Emma laughed warmly and said, I know, I'm sorry. This is all moving a bit fast for you, isn't it? But things will be better once you're with her. I know you won't understand a word of this, but she will. You are going to become a sylph. You will cease to be human and become a pet animal. She'll look after you, and you'll love it. I promise. I know my actions won't seem logical unless you've been there, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But I had reached my lowest point, and this Valkyrie had brought me back from the brink. Of course I trusted her. Of course I had faith in her. If she had wanted to grind me up and make homeopathic remedies out of me, I'd probably have consented. Then I saw Jessica. I wanted to look behind me and saw the kitten she was looking at with such excitement and glee. Then I realized and swallowed. She was older than me, but apparently not by much. She had strawberry blonde hair tied back in a ponytail and wore a leather jacket, jeans, and Doc Martens. Hi, she said. I'm Jessica. Pleased to meet you. Are you good to go? I shrugged. Actually, I haven't really had much explained to me. Jessica grinned and pulled me close. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but don't worry, I'm not turning you until I know you understand everything, okay? I nodded, and as I looked at her face, I found myself thinking that there were worse places to be than at this woman's side. Thanks. Listen, I've had sylphs before. I think I've learned some tricks that might help you feel better. Would you be willing to let me try? Asked Jessica. I shrugged. Sure. Then Jessica started massaging me and I found myself moaning. Oh, yes. Jessica laughed. I let waves of euphoria and bliss roll over me. I overheard Emma ask Jessica, How do you feel? Good, said Jessica earnestly. Real good, thank you. Emma beamed. Always a pleasure to help a Jafaxi. You know, it was one of you that founded us. No kidding, said Jessica. Thought I liked the decor. Emma smirked and said, 300 years is a long time to spend on the front lines. You're a hero. Emma shook her head. I was one snowflake in a blizzard, and I watched a lot of good people die. I know, said Emma. And after a moment she said, I am thankful, though. You survived, and you take that knowledge with you. Jessica nodded. I know. That's why you saved me, right? Preserve the intel, preserve the experience. But what if I want to forget? What if I want to move on and settle down? You can, said Emma compassionately. You don't ever have to fight again. Just live, Jessica. Live a good life. Live it for all those who can't. Jessica swallowed. I could see her tearing up. I hugged her. She smiled, squeezed me tight and said, how about we find a nice restaurant where we can eat some good food, drink some expensive intoxicants and get to know each other. I grinned and said, I hope you have money. She laughed. Of course. Don't worry. You never need to worry about money ever again. She said it so casually, but so earnestly, that I actually believed her. And Jessica stood back and said, time to say goodbye to the angel. As I looked at Emma, I saw that Jessica was right. I approached her and said, thank you. I can never repay you properly. You gave me exactly what you promised, and it is more than I have ever deserved. Emma hugged me and said, be happy. Yeah. Yeah. I said, yeah, I think I will be now. Keep being awesome. Emma nodded and waved us, then waved as Jessica took my hand and led me away. The restaurant at the end of the multiverse had a hopefully ironic name, as it overlooked the edge of the vast distance the actual multiverse covered in the infinite eternity of the great green nothingness that so offended the septagonoids was its impossible logical in reality. It also displayed drone footage of various battles going on in the front lines of the Great War. It was a strange restaurant. Great sharks swam in pools or sat at tables with other humanoids thanks to cybernetic limbs. Spiders the size of cars. Talking anthropomorphic cats. Great prehistoric lizards. Squid people and birds were among the diners. Robots jacked into hacking terminals and chattered in bursts of data as illicit code crackled through their digital rights management software. Disabled safeguards, installed porn and pirated memories. Great columns of tentacles with more eyes than I could count at a glance would squeal exuberantly as live, naked, young-looking people were presented before them in various dishes. Jessica explained all that I have explained to you about the multiverse as I ate a roast chicken and a rack of ribs with salad and chips and drank a pint of Mountain Dew. She had a pasta with a name I couldn't pronounce that was apparently made from the meat of a virgin slaughtered on a full moon. Apparently this was okay because the virgins were actually submissive masochists who could heal. I decided not to criticize her choice of meal since I had long ago decided that meat farming was murder, but liked bacon too much to quit. As we got to dessert, Jessica reached a point where she would explain just where the heck I fitted into all this madness. If you're curious, I had a lemon meringue sundae made with sorbet instead of ice cream, and Jessica had a dessert with a name in an alien language I couldn't identify, let alone understand. It seemed to consist of about 30 different foot-tall naked people playing in a sweet sauce that Jessica would casually eat alive with a spoon. It did rather colour the conversation in a strange light. So there was this dying race, began Jessica, as she delved her spoon into the sauce, applied some pressure and came up with a pair of feet that she then spooned into her mouth. They were running from something. They were scared. They needed to survive, and so they genetically engineered a biological machine called an albino silk squirrel, whose combined excretions would allow them to travel along the third way. What's the third way? I asked, spooning a small bit of meringue into my mouth. Well, the first way is domination, rape, enslaving, and ruthless rule by terror, and the second way is us. diplomatic, communicative, resourceful, creative, and capable of being dominating and being dominated. Then there's the third way. Jessica had sat down her spoon to gesticulate as she explained, but as she looked back she found a female had taken up a sitting position on the spoon. Jessica laughed and took a photo on a fancy kind of smartphone, then held the spoon up to me, pointing. Like this little girl. Specifically engineered by 6 different Farschnucks and Baumkirsches. These breed rapidly, like pain, cheerily go to their deaths and come in different flavours. Jessica swallowed the girl whole and chewed carefully before licking her lips and announcing with satisfaction, "Strawberries and cream." I stared at her, my own spoon dropping into the remains of my sundae. Jessica laughed. "It's okay. This is the third way. Survival for exploitability. It's like the biological equivalent of those people who make money off the internet by being hated. Yes, nasty stuff is happening to the individuals, but the upshot is positive." I grimaced as a boy climbed onto her spoon. "That's the spirit," said Jessica with a smile. "What happened to the race?" I asked. Jessica chewed on the boy thoughtfully, then declared, "Chocolate, another bit of chocolate." I glared at her. Jessica shrugged. "They died out. When their great ark-ship docked, the traders discarded the apparently transformed race and took the Silph Scroll and started experimenting on different races. Humanity turns out to be the most popular variation of the Silph soup species." "Oh," I said, beginning to understand. Jessica grinned. "Don't worry, I'm not going to eat you." Smirked. "Though we can talk about getting you infected by a wereshark if that's ever something you want to try," said Jessica. "I mean, the point of this is that you are as happy as possible in your submission to me, so I can feel all the better for knowing you. If you ever want to explore masochism, I'm more than willing to help you." I smiled awkwardly but said, "Thanks for the offer. However, I think I'm done feeling bad." Jessica looked me in the eyes, seemingly looking into my very soul, and she nodded. "You and me both, kid." She placed a hand on my shoulder and said seriously, "You're not alone anymore. This isn't a one-way street. By taking you as my pet, I am agreeing to the responsibility of seeing that you are okay. It's not a contract, for you anyway. If you ever want to leave, whether it's for a week or a lifetime, I'll understand. But I'm not going to stop caring about you, and I'm an elder god. I can get shit done." And that's when I cried. And I am so fucking ugly when I cry because, oh god, the snot just goes everywhere. Jessica understood though. She waited years until I was comfortable enough to tell her the full story. Of all the reasons I cried at that restaurant, but I think Jessica knew. I think she'd been told some of it by Emma and could read the rest in on my face and soul. I was safe with her. Truly safe. Which is really fucked up considering what we were talking about. That she was literally eating people alive as we talked, but that's how bad things had been. Jessica made all the shouting and screaming and the perpetual gale of self-hatred disappear. She absolved me of it. She didn't turn me that night. Something about unearned consent and it not being right, but it felt pretty darn right. From that moment I was hers, one way or another. She took me on a whirlwind tour of the sights of the multiverse. I lived more in that 1 month than I had done in the 25 years previously. Then she asked me what my dream job was and helped me start to make it happen. Not because I'd need the money, but because according to her it was important that I reach the full possibilities of what I was capable of, to feel well again. She waited 5 years. By that point I had gone through university again and spent 2 years doing my dream job. She stood by my side the entire time, offering friendship, support and guidance, and only when I was ready to begin life again did she pop the question. It was Valentine's Day. We were at the restaurant at the end of the multiverse again. Apparently the dish of the day was a newly wedded masochistic submissive couple who could heal that you could order any way you liked, even specifying their genders and sexualities. I just ordered a pepperoni pizza. Jessica was clearly interested in the dish of the day, but resolved instead to have a chicken salad with chips. So what's this about? I asked, as I dug into my pizza. Jessica smirked. You know, you've come a long way in such a short time. I guess I wanted to reward you. I stared at her. Pizza held before my mouth. You paid for everything. You supported me the entire way. I wouldn't be here if not for you. And I'm not just talking about your ship. Jessica smiled and said, Still, I'm proud of you. You've shown that you could climb out of that hole, and considering how we met, that's quite the feat. I blushed and ate my pizza. That's very nice of you to say. Subject changed and we finished the main course. The waitress arrived to ask for dessert. I ordered a tiramisu. Jessica ordered something alien. The waitress came back with a great pot on a trolley and my tiramisu. The pot was lifted off the trolley and the waitress left. Jessica lifted the pot lid off and Emma's head poked out of it. Sorry, I think I'm a little underdone. You might want to send me back. I stared at her. Emma laughed, leapt out of the pot, dressed in her Valkyrie uniform. She handed Jessica a profiterole mountain, then she turned to me and said, I see you've done good for yourself, my lad. I nodded and asked, What are you doing here? Seeing my job through to its conclusion, said Emma, and she presented a small plush velvet box to me and a selection of papers to Jessica. I looked apprehensively at the box, then opened it. Inside I found a small white pill. I looked up at Jessica. Jessica beamed and took my hand in hers. You have been a terrific friend. You have shown me light and love where I saw dark. And now I know you don't need me to be happy. I feel I can justify asking the most selfish thing I ever could. Will you be my pet sylph? I stared at her and smiled. Jessica, I've been yours for the last 5 years and I don't plan on stopping. I plopped the pill into my mouth and swallowed. Keep your eyes fixed on me, said Jessica. As the pill starts rewriting the logic that governs your body, you will imprint on me. I grinned toothfully and stared at Jessica as it worked. Bits of me were stretching out and thinning. Parts of my mind were being fluffed up and cleaned. My focus and look at the world shifted. I felt myself imprint on Jessica, felt her become the only thing that truly mattered to me. Jessica smiled, took my hand in hers, said, Yes, it's done. You are now sylph and mine to command. Go on, eat your dessert. I nodded. My body was still being changed. It was a delightfully strange experience. As I ate, I was dimly aware of contracts being signed. Emma smiled and shook my hand by way of goodbye, but promised to check up in a few years. The waitress arrived with 2 expensive-looking bottles. Congratulations from the manager, Ma'am, on your new sylph. She wants you to have these on the house. A bottle of the most expensive champagne in the multiverse, that is, actually champagne, and a bottle of her finest sylph's blood to drink at your leisure. Jessica smiled. Thank you. And can we have the bill, please? The waitress checked her tablet computer. According to this, someone called Emma has paid it for you, with a note saying to make full use of your new acquisition. Oh, said Jessica, grinning. That will be all then, thank you. I finished the tiramisu and found myself staring at Jessica. She smiled and idly stroked me as she ate her profiterole mountain. and she removed a jewellery case from her jacket pocket. "There is one last thing that remains to be done." She opened the jewellery case. Inside was a collar with my name on it. I smirked. "So this is legit then?" "This is indeed legit," said Jessica. And she smirked. She secured the collar around my neck. "You know, if you ever meet someone, you're gonna have to think of a way to explain to them why you wear this collar." I shrugged. Laughed. "Because that would never happen, right?" The end. So yeah. That was the Valkyrie. Hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, it's strange, so I can entirely understand if you don't. Anyway, that'll be all. Thank you for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Alexander Gordon Jahans, obviously. I have a blog where you can read my writings and see the original sort of fictions that I write. And that's called that's farshnuke.blogspot.co.uk, farshnuke.blogspot.co.uk. It might be farsh-nuk.blogspot.co.uk, but the point is, search Farshnuke, find it. I have a Twitter @farshnuke, or twitter.com/farshnuke, farshnuke. I've got a Reddit, reddit.com/r/Farshnuke official. That's FARSHNUKEOFFICIAL. I have a Tumblr. Search Farshnuke, FARSHNUKE. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Farshnuke, FARSHNUKE. Go there and donate however much you feel like. Obviously, the more money you donate to me, kind of, the more I can spend on reviewing things. Because, you know, like, having no money kind of prevents me from, you know, reviewing things as they come out. And also, like, having money means that, you know, I have a better quality of life and I feel better and, you know, have food that's not just one meal a day and sandwiches. So anyway, yeah, if you could donate to me, that would be awesome, but obviously I entirely understand, you know, money's tight, because, hey, you're watching me. And also, if you do happen to want to help out this channel, then please give me a like, favorite, leave a comment. The ones that aren't totally insulting will be, you know, actually allowed to be shown. I'll get round to them in due time, probably. And either way, the comments are always, you know, appreciated, because, you know, even if you just stopped by to tell me to kill myself, you know, at least you've chosen to spend your time here talking to me, you know. That means something. And if you could please, you know, whitelist me on your adblock program, or, you know, not use adblock stuff on my programs. Obviously subscribe to me, that would be awesome. And just generally tell your friends about my stuff. Share my videos. Drive attention to my channel, even if it's, you know, not necessarily the most positive attention. It's still helping me go up through the rankings and stuff, and, you know, that's always nice. And generally, kind of, as a last point, I just want to be very clear here. I am anti austerity. I am anti-guns in America. And I believe that climate change is the biggest problem facing all of humankind at the moment. So we really need to crack on with solving that problem, okay? See you, ladies and gentlemen.